It's been the international students that have kept it all afloat.
This higher education consultant says for years, foreign students have been offsetting the inadequate public funding colleges and universities receive. And now losing these students means the status quo will have to change.
You have to say to Canadian students and their parents, actually, international students have been subsidizing you for the last 15 years. Maybe it's time for you to pay. Or to say to governments, it's time for you to start increasing your contributions.
In January, the federal government reduced the number of international student permits by a third, then tacked on another 10% this fall. They argue it's necessary to deal with a housing shortage, particularly in tight markets.
We are setting a national application intake cap for a period of 2 years.
2 months into the first academic year impacted by these restrictions, the cracks are starting to show, especially in Ontario, which receives the lowest per student funding from the provincial government.
We expect international enrollment to be down by about 25% for 24-25.
The Council of Ontario Universities said that projected losses from international student tuitions add up to $300 million in the current academic year and $600 million in the next academic year.
It's indescribable. It's so heartbreaking.
At Camosun College in BC, losing international students has meant $5 million shortfall for the next school year, and faculty has been told job cuts are imminent.
Everyone is afraid for their jobs, they're afraid for their students' futures, and we're all afraid for the health of our organization.
Domestic students at other BC institutions are already feeling the impact.
Even though I'm in my fourth year, there's just simply not enough classes being offered to get enough credits that I need to graduate.
Organizations representing universities say governments absolutely need to pitch in more money to their funding. Otherwise, what's at risk?
Hey guys, welcome back to another video. First and foremost, guys, I would like to address something that was mentioned in one of my previous driving videos about distracting driving, video while driving. First and foremost, I am not distracted. I'm literally just talking, right? I have a car tripod that is set up right there, so I'm not holding the video recorder at all. My both hands are on the steering periodically, sometimes one hand, but that's how I drive usually. And I'm paying full attention to the road. So no need to worry, no need to fret. We're all safe because safety is priority. Okay, with that being said, guys, it's been a while since I've spoken about immigration. So this is an immigration video for you guys. And in this video, I'm going to be talking about the sharp decrease of international students enrollment here in Canada. What's the actual decrease? Why are people not applying to study in Canada anymore? And simply, how does this affect the Canadian economy or the Canadian society in general? Okay, now if you guys are new here, I'm not an immigration consultant, I'm not an immigration attorney, affiliate, anything of the sort. Street side knowledge. So please verify any information that you want to find out by doing your own research, or simply just book a registered consultant or immigration affiliate. Now with that being said, guys, I came to Canada as an international student now coming up on many years ago, quickly approaching a decade. A lot of things have changed since I landed in Canada compared to what it is now. Now, international students have always seen Canada as a premier destination to study. One, because Canadian education is recognized worldwide. So a lot of persons study here because even in the event that they choose not to live in Canada indefinitely, they can use that qualification that they have acquired in Canada. In many other countries around the world, it's recognized, and that's just the truth. Whilst a lot of persons have ambition of migrating to Canada as a permanent resident and ultimately a citizen, and they use in the past studying in Canada as an opportunity to migrate to Canada fully, because Canada is one of those countries where there's many opportunities to become a permanent resident if you studied in Canada and you go through things the right way. Now with that being said, guys, immigration has been a hot topic for the past a motorcycle, yeah. Immigration has been a hot topic over the past, I'd say probably a year and a half, probably closer to 2 years now. A lot of persons blamed the breakdown in the Canadian society due to the influx or the over-reliance on immigration. So immigrants then start to feel the blunt of that frustration. So the housing crisis is being blamed on immigrants. Crime is being blamed on immigrants. High cost of living is blamed on immigrants. Pretty much all the social decline that you can name is being pointed in the direction of immigration. Now, the federal government of Canada took this into account, and they have addressed the mass immigration, which in truth and in fact, there was a lot more people coming into Canada over the past 5 years than there were before. So I can see that with my own two eyes, more so from specific regions around the world. So I can see that there has been a huge influx of immigrants over the past 5 years. So the federal government also seen that, also tried to address that by putting in more stringent measures in place to reduce immigration to a more manageable or sustained level. Now, that's seen a lot of changes applied to the international students application to come to Canada and so forth, so on. So international students were the first main immigration group that was targeted for the decline. Putting in stricter an increased level of proof of funds needed to be shown. You can no longer take your family with you, although through specific circumstances or specific level of studies, and a whole host of other changes. If you haven't seen those videos, go and check it out where I list all the changes. Now, those changes, in addition to simply a lot less study permits are being approved, I think the number that I've seen is, I think, astonishing. I think there has been like a 63 or 64% denial rate in study permits, which simply means that more than half the study permits application that has been put in over the past year has been declined. So there has been like a 64 denial rate, which is astonishing. In addition to less people applying to come to Canada to study because of the measures. You know, some persons can come up with that amount of money, and some persons are not going to leave their family behind. That's just the way it is, right? Now, with that being said, the federal government was targeting a 35% drop in international students enrollment for 2025. Now, the statistics that I've seen online suggest that it has been a lot more than they had anticipated, reaching close to 50% decline, which is a sharp decline, which is almost 15 to 20% more than they were anticipating, right? So it's close to, I think 48% is the accurate figure that I've seen this year, 2025, in enrollment for international students. Now, we have a college here in the city that I live, and usually the average amount of international students, just from a non-statistical eye test perspective, usually seem close to 50 average. But this year, it's less than 15 based on the eye test that I've seen. And that's astonishing. What does that decrease means for Canada? Let's start with the colleges. I've seen a lot of colleges started to basically not complain, but to post about the lack of financial resources that they are going to experience due to the lack of sufficient international student enrollment. Because let's be honest, international students have always been a large portion of financier for most of these international colleges here in Canada, because international students pay upwards of 4 to 5 times more than domestic students. So international students even somewhat supplement the cost that domestic students have to pay. Now, with that being significantly reduced, is one or two things. Either the federal government or provincial governments have to provide more financial assistance to these colleges, or domestic students are going to have to pay more in order to get that Canadian education, tertiary Canadian education. And nobody wants that, right? Nobody wants to pay more. And then that's going to lead to more complaints now from people who are going to be saying like education is going up and so forth, so on. As it also relates to labor gaps here in Canada, international students tend to fill a lot of part-time positions here in Canada that, you know, a Canadian or a permanent resident might not be able to fill based on the hours that the job is required, or simply because of the level of the job. So international students usually fill that labor gap. Now, those companies are potentially gonna face significant labor shortages in certain sector. That's not good for anybody either. So in a nutshell, I think the reduced numbers, especially so sharply, is gonna have a profound impact. But look at the bright side, guys. The bright side is that immigration is no longer gonna be the scapegoat for the breakdown in social I'd say issues here in Canada. No longer are people gonna blame immigrants or immigration for the housing crisis or the cost of living and so forth, so on. What advice would I give to any prospective international student who is thinking of applying to come to Canada right now? I would say the fittest of the fittest will survive. Make sure that you're doing adequate research. Make sure that you are putting all your ducks in a row before you submit your application so that everything is airtight. Because right now, as mentioned at the beginning of this video, there's a greater chance that your application will be declined rather than approved right now. So if everything is, all the ducks are in a row, potentially that's a higher chance that you're going to be approved, right? The other thing I would like to say is that I'd still send some motivation and say, even though times are looking very bleak right now, there's always a light at the end of the tunnel. So please don't give up on your goal. If Canada is a goal to move to Canada, just persevere and push through, and don't try to find a shortcut to do things the right way, and keep your fingers crossed, and you know, keep faith that everything you do will be successful, and push it. Because once you come through the door, Canada is a great country, and you will be happy that you have stuck to your task, pretty much, that you are determined and that you are willing to put up with the struggles and adversities, and then you are here and you made it to Canada, right? So don't give up, keep pushing, keep motivated, surround yourself with people who can help you. Don't surround yourself with the negative Nancy's. Oh man, don't do it, you did that. You're always gonna find those people. Don't surround yourself with those people, but surround yourself with people who can push and motivate you and encourage you on your Canadian journey. And if you're here as an international student, I know we are now in September, there's a lot of international students who landed probably in August or even in September. I'd like to extend a warm welcome to all of you guys and say welcome to the Great North, welcome to Canada. Canada is a beautiful country, and you're gonna have a lot of new experiences. And please, my encouragement to you is to please remain focused. Remember why you're here. Remember how hard it was for you to get here. Don't let this opportunity pass you by, because there's a lot of persons who wanted this opportunity, and you've been blessed and fortunate to get this opportunity. So let it count. Don't waste time. Don't skylark, and don't forget the mission. Don't forget the goal. Do things the right way. Be persistent. Be determined. Remain humble. Don't fall into the trap of overcompensating, thinking that you have made it when you are really on the beginning of your journey. Begin with the end in mind. Map out a path. Be flexible. There's so many advice, right? Be flexible. Be adaptable. Network, and know that networking is the best skill asset you can have in this time. It's not what you know, it's who you know, and it's also important for Canada as well, not just your home country. It's very important to network with your community, be involved in your community, volunteer, get to meet the movers and shakers in your community, so that you can have a great Canadian journey, a great Canadian experience. Don't look to just take, find ways to give back the best way you can. If you can't give back your money, you give back your time. If you can't give your time, you give your talent. There's always something to give back. And I'll end that video right there. And I say thank you guys for watching, and all the new subscribers, welcome to the Anderson's family. Thank you guys so much for subscribing. And if you haven't already subscribed, please take a minute to hit that subscribe button. It's very important. We want to get to 20,000 subscribers so bad, but we can't do it without your help. So hit that subscribe button if you haven't already subscribed. Smash a like on this video. It's very important for the engagements. And let me know in the comment section, what do you think about the sudden decline in international student enrollment here in Canada? Until next time, guys, I will see you guys in the next video.